Howdy, cowpoke.
It's time to saddle up with
The Farmer and Adele.
Yep, yep.
Singing our saddle up
song. It's time for Saddle Up Story Time with The Farmer and Adele. Today we're going to read Applesauce Afternoon by Brooke Hadley Kramb. Yep, yep.
Running her fingers along the dust-covered treasures, Caroline explored the different items in her family's attic. The pitter-patter of raindrops sounded against the drenched windows. It was a perfect day for a treasure hunt in the attic. In a deserted corner, a dull, silver cone-shaped object caught Caroline's eye. Her eyes filled with wonder as she grabbed the cone and skipped down the narrow attic stairs to find her mother.
Mom! Mom!
Called Caroline.
I'm in the kitchen, honey.
Replied her mother.
Look what I found in the attic.
Panted Caroline as she hopped into the room.
I can tell that you've been poking around in the attic again because you're covered in dust.
Caroline's mom said with a smile. She tousled Caroline's hair. Caroline placed the mystery object on the kitchen table for her mom to examine. Her mother's puzzled expression turned into a wide-eyed smile as she peered at the item.
This is a ricer, which is used to make homemade applesauce.
Caroline's mom explained.
Your Aunt Eve, Great-Grandpa Hadley, and I used to make applesauce when I was your age. How does it work?
Caroline asked curiously. Without answering, Caroline's mom grabbed an armload of apples from the refrigerator, an apple peeler, and a wash rag. She used the wash rag to clean off the ricer. Next, she motioned Caroline to the sink to begin washing and peeling the apples. Once the apples were peeled, it was time to fill a large cooking pot with water to boil the apples. While they waited for the water to boil, Caroline and her mom carefully cut the apples into small pieces. Then, plop, 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 they dumped the apple pieces into the pot of rolling, boiling water. While cooking the apples, Caroline's mom described her memories of making applesauce with her grandpa.
We used to pick the apples from the trees in your great-grandpa's yard.
She described.
We prepared the apples the same exact way that you and I just did. Then, while we waited for the apples to cook, your great-grandpa would take us on wheelbarrow rides around the yard, or he'd let us climb trees. Sometimes he'd even let us eat popsicles before supper.
Caroline listened with interest while her mom talked about her memories of great-grandpa. Just then, the stove bell rang, signaling that the apples were fully cooked. Caroline's mom drained the apples, then placed them into the ricer. Carefully, she put the ricer inside a large bowl to catch any drippings. With quick movements, Caroline and her mother took turns using the wooden pin to mash and squish the apple pieces against the rounded cone of the ricer.
Mash, mash, mash.
The apple pieces fell apart.
Squish, squish, squish.
The lumps of apples and juices oozed through the tiny holes of the ricer. With amazement, Caroline witnessed the once whole apples being transformed into a thick puddle of homemade applesauce.
When do we get to taste the applesauce?
Caroline asked.
As soon as we chill the applesauce in the refrigerator for a few more hours.
Answered her mother.
I don't know if I can wait that long.
Caroline exclaimed. Caroline and her mom spent the rest of the afternoon cleaning up the gloppy applesauce mess while sharing more memories about special times. Feeling impatient, Caroline peeked in the refrigerator to see if the applesauce was ready to be eaten. As soon as it was ready, Caroline found 2 small bowls that she piled high with the sweet, smelling applesauce. Just as Caroline was about to shove a loaded spoonful in her mouth, her mom shouted,
"Wait! We almost forgot the best part."
She disappeared into the pantry and returned with a tiny bottle in her hand.
You can't forget the cinnamon,
she announced. Each lumpy bite tasted sweet and heavenly. As Caroline and her mom enjoyed the special treat, they talked about their day together. They smiled knowing they would always remember the Applesauce Afternoon.
Sounds like Caroline and her mother had an amazing afternoon making applesauce and sharing memories. Oh, and did you know there's an applesauce recipe at the back of this book? Be sure to click on the link below and ask an adult if you can get your own copy of the recipe and the book Applesauce Afternoon. We'll see you next time for Saddle Up Story Time with the Farmer and Adele. Yip, 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 yip! A mighty big thank you for watching. Be sure to check out our other videos. And go ahead and ask a grown-up to subscribe.
I'll yip to that. Yip!
Yip!
Singing our saddle up